You're listening to the Paracasual Destiny Podcast. Well, hello, everyone. You're listening to the Paracasual Destiny Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to episode 0. I am Sooltime, and I am joined by Salliebug. Salliebug,
Hello.
can you hear me? Yeah, she's there. And this is our inaugural sort of test run of a live thing. I think we're lucky just to have microphones at this point. And yeah, hopefully
Right.
eventually we could get better microphones and maybe a camera for the live piece. But certainly the emphasis will be on the audio. Salliebug, you want to tell us kind of where we're coming from with this thing, and maybe where we came from and where we're going?
Yeah. So we are a couple, and we have been playing Destiny, all iterations of it, since what, when did it come out? 2014?
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah, so
So we go back a ways with it.
I think you played the beta.
Yeah, well,
when it came out.
Greenstego, one of our esteemed clan members, turned me on to the beta that summer, and I was pretty much hooked then. Yeah, and so I've been playing since then. You came in a little afterwards, if I recall.
Yeah, so I was kind of a lurker, as you would, like in a Twitch stream. I kind of just like watched you play live, and comment on it. We also have other family members who play.
And some dear
or
friends.
were playing at the time.
Right.
And so I would watch them as well. And
yeah, in the
one
beginning,
day
as I recall, it was really kind of a family thing with another friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part.
For the first couple years of Destiny 1, right?
Yeah, but getting back to kind of why we're doing this podcast before we get too in depth about our own background,
right?
Is that I from encouragement of watching you guys play, I was encouraged to give it a try, and I had been gaming. I mean, we kind of bonded, you and I, way back when, over video games. So it's always been a huge part of our...
How long, Salliebug, if you don't mind me interrupting, how long have you been playing video games?
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to eke your age out of you, aren't I?
Yeah.
I have 2 words to say about that. Atari 2600. How's that sound?
I don't think I had an Atari 2600,
oh,
but I did have, I had a Pong. Is that what it was called?
Yeah. And I know you were the
literally just Pong, just the paddle game.
And if I recall, you maintained the high score in Ms. Pac-Man in the local arcade for quite a while, right? Is that true?
Yeah, so, yep, back when a lot of your video game experience had to actually be in a video game arcade.
Coin-driven.
I would spend my free time in there, mostly with those types of games, Ms. Pac-Man.
Now that we've established that we were born in the late 1800s.
Not the racers. Well, I think that kind of adds to why we felt like we needed to kind of give our perspective.
Right. Yeah,
right,
because we are beyond adults, and gaming is a luxury. I mean, it's not a life. It's not a source of income is what I'm trying to say. And so
Right.
yeah, the paracasual, a play on words with from paracausal to paracasual, but very apropos here because we are definitely casual, but hardcore fans of the game, but definitely casual players. And the word casual,
Right.
I think, can also mean you're not, you suck at video games, basically, but you love playing them.
Right.
So that's kind of
we're the potatoes that the Twitch streamers are always talking about.
yeah, potatoes with like a serious dimension of experience, I would say. So we can hold our own, I guess, at this point in the game. But certainly the podcasts and YouTubes that we watch are 90% of them are from career players, and it's like, oh well, I can't do that, and that's just unattainable. Right. And I think we represent kind of there's probably a lot of us out there who are left of the peak on the bell curve, to put it lightly, right?
Right. So yeah, that's been the kind of frustrating part is being such huge fans of the game. We watch Twitch streamers streaming the game when we're not playing. When we had a commute to work, and hopefully we'll have one again.
Right.
We listen to podcasts to and from work, about this game. And
so our knowledge of the game might surpass our skill, is what you're saying.
I would say absolutely. So when we watch the Twitch streamers, or we listen to podcasts, or we watch YouTube videos, all of which are part of our in our weekly experiences, we tend to always have comments of, but it feels like our perspective is kind of missing. And I think they try to. I think some more than others try to say, I hear what you're saying,
right,
but they can't really put it into perspective. Like, they want to be inclusive of us, but they don't have the perspective because they play the game for 6 to 8 hours a day and have been. Plus, they have younger brains and younger hand-eye coordination. I don't know exactly what you call it, but
and just gaming sense.
Right, and some just have it.
But I was going to say, a lot of there's a few out there who do a really good job of trying to put themselves in what it's like to either be a new player, or a player who doesn't have much time, or a gamer who just doesn't have that game sense or the skill, but loves the environments, loves the lore, loves the chase, loves loot, loves all the good things that Bungie brings us. Right. And loves just hanging out. I mean, it's a social game, right? And so that aspect of it attracts people from the whole spectrum of not just players, but just people in general. All ages, all walks of life.
And I think that's one of the things that I really appreciate about the game and it's in its own right. And I think Bungie has struggled a little bit to, like, how can we meet the needs of everybody? Right. You have those people who whip through the content and have, let's just say, this new exotic weapon, the Ruinous Effigy. They had that within 8 hours. And the Catalyst's probably a couple of hours after that.
Probably less than that,
even less.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we went in, and I think it was less than 8 hours after it dropped, and we were seeing people using it, Sally. Remember that?
Yeah, and
that's amazing.
So,
for sure. Well, do you
So
want
what I
to?
was going to say is,
Yeah.
I feel like Bungie struggles a little bit in being able to say, oh, hey, look, we know they're players like that, so we want to give them content that's challenging and keeps them engaged. But then you have players like us who love this game just as much, but maybe don't have the same amount of time. Obviously, there's a ton of players who have
Yeah.
full-time jobs
Well, you know,
and families and other obligations, and there are times when, and I guess maybe we should backtrack a little bit and say we are both of us are educators,
right.
and
I was
so
just
we
gonna
have a little
say
more free time.
it sounds kind of rich that we're complaining about not having enough time, and yet we've got this cockamamie idea of doing a podcast about Destiny. And well, it's because it's summer, so this thing may not last if and when we go
Right.
back
Right.
to the
We don't know
grind.
whether this is going to be a weekly thing, a bi-weekly thing. Maybe we'll love it so much we'll
Hourly.
do it pretty regularly, and maybe not. This
Yeah.
is but again, this is like coming, we just felt like we always
Yeah.
have so much to say to each other when we're watching YouTube videos, or when we're
Yeah.
playing the game or watching Twitch
Right.
streamers, and saying, having our kind of our own input. And we felt like, gosh, it would be really nice to have someone give that perspective of someone who loves the game just as much, but maybe doesn't have the same amount of time.
And I know there
Or maybe you have the time, but you have other interests.
right.
And this is just one of your interests. It doesn't mean you love it any less. It just means you've got other things that, are also part of your life.
Right.
So,
yeah, we tell ourselves that to protect our egos, but also there's, like me, just people who don't have that the aim, so to speak. Like it'll become abundantly clear that we are not very good at PvP, but that we are more of the PvE side, and that has to do with several factors, including personal taste. But I would also say, it's amazing that the game has lasted this long, given the sort of PvP versus PvE debacle from a developer's point of view, of having to reconcile the activities and weapons and armor and everything between the two worlds. And they have stood their ground for 6 years now on integrating those two things. But the other dimension that you were referring to earlier is these high-end players, the top tier players, and then the person picking the game up for the first time. You want to engage them, yet satisfy the career players as well. Very, very difficult thing to try to cast a net wide enough to keep the ship moving. And I think we need to commend Bungie on making it last this long, and also just listening and responding. It's a new experience. Of course, as we said earlier, we've been playing video games forever, but such a unique experience from our perspective. The appreciation of not just the technology, but the ingenuity that goes into utilizing and pushing today's tech to the max to give us something like this. But it's just monumental, and I think we have a deeper appreciation for that sort of thing, being veterans as we are. And knowing what we had when we were kids, and then
right.
Those kids today, they don't know what it takes to make a video game.
I know. I mean, we have like this, almost in awe appreciation of what we have before us, without having teenage years of never in our life believing that this would be something that we could like sit down in our living room and interact with.
Yeah, and not only that, to have the game morph and change and in response to gamer feedback has been a really interesting experience as well. If you're old enough, you know when that just you bought your cartridge, that was the game you got, bugs and all. There's no updates, there's no forums, there's no feedback. You got that game for life.
Yeah, I mean there were
there's some
games
upside to that.
Games that literally you would play, and then a half hour in, it would just freeze, and you could do nothing, and you were just stuck with it. So
right, unless you yourself could figure out the workaround. You know, you were on your own. Maybe you had some friends who owned the game too. I see that Greenstego has joined us here.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Greenstego. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine. How's my audio coming in?
Oh, it sounds beautiful, man.
It's great.
I just need to adjust.
Yeah.
Right.
I just need to adjust the window a little bit here.
Glad you could enjoy us and join us.
Enjoy us.
Enjoy us and join us.
Hell?
A little presumptuous, Salliebug.
I'm enjoying a cup of coffee, and I was thinking of that. My brain muddled it all up.
Is that a spoonerism?
And very slowly, Sooltime morphs back into the picture here.
Yeah.
All right.
So have you had your coffee yet, Greenstego?
I've had some coffee. I've had some iced coffee.
Oh, okay. That's appropriate for the season, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Here in Texas, it's going to hit 101 degrees today, but it's also very humid right now, so the real feel's probably going to be closer to like 105.
Gotcha.
Maybe even 110. It's brutal right now.
I was thinking the 80s and high humidity was just about enough for me up here.
Yeah. No, it's indoor weather right now, if you can help it.
Wow.
Which
more time to play our beloved game.
Our beloved game.
Beloved game.
Destiny.
Are we? Important question. Are we raiding today?
That is an important question, and honestly, I don't see why not. Saturday's kind of our raid day.
Right.
And it's harder to do it during the school year because I'm just so burned out.
Right.
I know. Take advantage.
We should bring up that Stego is also an educator.
Oh my gosh.
This is starting to look like our clan and our group is like very one-sided. That's not necessarily the case. It just happens to be the three people in here right now. So
yes. Yeah. It's a disproportionate representation.
Absolutely.
Well, this is a pleasant surprise. We didn't know what to expect today, and it's really nice that you should drop in and say hello.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have too much other than introductions. Do you want to sort of just give the folks a background of where you come from in terms of a video gamer, and how you stumbled upon Destiny? Yeah. I already mentioned you were the one who turned me on to the beta when it came out back in August.
I remember purchasing the Dark Below DLC for you.
Yep.
As like a gift.
Right. I played the beta, but then I didn't hop in when it came out. I didn't pre-order it. I got into it at Dark Below. That is true. Yep.
Well, one of the unfortunate aspects of Destiny, in terms of how it correlates to our profession, is that fall release is also when things are getting pretty crazy with our jobs, with school, because we're like kind of hitting the ground.
Right. We mention that every time.
Every time we go through the pain of that. It's
never great timing. But in a way, and from a casual perspective, in a way, it makes it great because we can actually take our time with it. It's not like one of those, like, we can't jump right in when it first comes out. but we can also take our time, and we don't get as burnt out on the game, and we're still like there's still things in the game lurking in the background that is like, wow, I still need to do that.
Right. Always.
Like region chests and ghost traces and...
I still need to do Niobe Labs. I'm determined,
Wow.
Before it goes away, And I know there's a lot of other activities that they're sunsetting besides just the whole sunsetting thing.
Well, is the Forge content going away? I don't think so.
No, that's not one of the things that's going away. So here's the dilemma. How do I prioritize everything? It's almost like you have to sit down with a pencil and paper and say, okay, this is what I need to be doing first. But Destiny...
color-coded spreadsheet.
Yeah,
exactly.
especially for us older folks, Destiny ADD is a real thing. Salliebug and I will say, let's get on and do something, and an hour later, it's like, whoa, weren't we supposed to level up the recaster?
We're just going to do this. This is our focus. We're going to maintain focus on this one particular quest and try to get it, and the next thing you know, you've gotten involved in an escalation protocol, and you just can't walk away.
You don't want to walk away from them because, you're helping them, they're helping you, you might as well get some loot out of it, and if you're also making a little bit of progress on some quest that you have, then why the F not?
And do I have all the armor for Armor 2.0 and Escalation Protocol? And it's just the whole thing.
It's very easy to get sidetracked.
The ADD is real.
I think that's a sign of a good game, though. I always remember, one of my favorite games was Skyrim, and very, very easy to get sidetracked. To do the main quest is a challenge, not if nothing more because it's so 2 hours later, what was I doing? How did I go down this rabbit hole? That's a sign of a well-developed open world game, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say Skyrim definitely had that.
Yeah.
Because it really just transported you into the world.
Yeah.
You would stroll into a town and then you'd start helping some villager who needed flowers or something. I don't know. But just some random quest.
I'm gonna take a break here to get some more coffee, and Salliebug, do you need a refill?
I do.
Okay.
Do you want to take care of that?
I'll take care of that, and you, Dan,
Stego and I will
commiserate.
Keep the ball rolling.
Sure.
Okay.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the game actually in its current state, and how are you feeling about this season so far, Stego?
This season, I'm loving that there is a lot more story to it. It feels like an interactive story, and that's something that they've really been nailing lately, is the storytelling, but it feels like we're involved. We're kind of our character, our guardian, embedded in the storytelling, in the events that are unfolding, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, and in all honesty, it's not I felt like they tried that with last season, and I just never could put my finger on why it didn't have that same interactive feel. And I think sometimes you put some content out there and it hits the mark, and sometimes it misses. And I think last season it missed, and a lot of people who play the game would agree with that. Now, for me, from a casual perspective, I don't know why I didn't quite get everybody just said, oh, that season was garbage, without really saying why they thought it was garbage, or at least I didn't get the impression of why. For me, I don't necessarily say it was garbage. I still had a lot of fun with it. The things that I struggled with was the pacing of it was very difficult for me to figure out what to do. I started leveling up one bunker, and then that bunker, it was still open, but the bounties were more focused on the next bunker, and it's like, well, do I level up this bunker or do I level up that bunker? I don't know what I'm doing here. And that event was so hard for someone like me and my skill base. It was like, unless I happen upon a bunch of like really great players who happen, if I happen upon them and they're doing it, like, I can't do this. I can't.
Yeah.
So
no, it was really frustrating running into that event and thinking like, oh, okay, we've got a group of like 6 guardians, and we're not like say you're just by yourself and you just stumble on an instance where there are just some people doing it, and there's like 6 or so people. That's not guaranteed to complete the event. It was really frustrating to have so many people, and it goes on for so long, and you're not really getting a lot of like feedback from the game in terms of like, oh, you're almost there, you're kind of doing it. It's just like you're just struggling with these really difficult ads, and then all of a sudden the event is over and you just didn't do it.
Right. And it was it was frustrating because one of the weekly bounties was finishing that 4 times. I think it was 4 times, if I remember right. And it was like, there were many weeks in that season that didn't happen for me. As a matter of fact, I kind of stopped trying. I think I picked it up just for those, maybe on occasion I'll happen across a group that knows what they're doing and is coordinated enough that I can kind of like participate and help. And the other thing and we touched upon this a little bit with talking about how Bungie needed to balance the game experience for people who have a higher skill level than me, or than the average casual player, and but also making enjoyable content for someone like me. And I found the legendary lost sectors to be so hard. And what was hard about it was, unlike other lost sectors, like if I was in a fire team with 3, we probably could get it done. But like you were saying, you kind of mentioned it with the event, it was a bit of a time sink.
Yeah.
But also I felt like you were awarded by, like, they went quicker once you were able to level your bunker up all the way. But coming from a casual perspective and getting back to our career and what we do for our jobs, that was during a time when I didn't have a ton of time to play the game. So I felt like I was like in this constant catching up mode.
Yeah. And to be fair, that was in the current events, what was going on in the world. Season of the Worthy was also kind of season of self-quarantine. And just, I think a lot of people were really scatterbrained, but also looking to kind of vent their frustrations.
Right. And I mean, Bungie was definitely, I mean, they were kind of in, they were in lockdown way before the rest of the country. Now that, I mean, the rest of the country followed suit, but they were one of the first.
It sounds like
states.
sounds like Sally's being a little bit of a Bungie apologist here.
I will forever be a Bungie apologist.
Yeah, we already
sympathize so much with the game developers.
No, we were talking about the impossible task of PvP versus PvE, integrating the two, and then you have career Twitch streamers that you need to satisfy, like Glad, who's eats up the content in 3 minutes, and then you have us, like sort of the either families or jobs or other obligations, but love the game so much, so passionate about it. They've actually maintained a place for us as well, which is just a monumental task that I don't think people probably. I mean, I tell my students who whine and complain about video games, this, that, or the other. I tell them, I make them do a very simple, try doing a tic-tac-toe on Scratch, and then and then tell me how it's, the developers, it's easy to do a video game. It's hard stuff, man. It's even for professional coders, it's hard. And the size of the game now is so big. The larger the game, the larger the chance there's going to be bugs, and there's plenty of bugs, which is.
And they have a community that's so passionate, but also so demanding.
Demanding, yeah.
And I can't imagine being a community manager for this. And back when we first started playing the game and were first involved in the game, they had 1, and now they have 4, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's because it's gotten that large, and the community's has grown that much, which is wonderful for the game, because that gives it some viability for us to be able to continue playing. But breaking off from last season, kind of not hitting the mark for me from a casual perspective. Sooltime, you had a bit of a different experience with it. Like I think you enjoyed it a lot more than I did. Enjoyed the content. I mean, at least a little more.
What are you talking about?
Of last season, season of the Worthy.
Last season,
we started talking when you were getting coffee.
No, yeah, I came in.
How...
You were halfway talking about it. Halfway through. Yeah, I did enjoy the mechanics of the bunker, having to clear it out. And I really love the lost sectors, but I'm in total agreement with you. The fact that the activity, the towers moved to a new destination where you had to start from ground zero, leveling up that bunker and getting the advantages to complete not only the Seraph Towers activity, but also the lost sectors, where you can get your robot man to come out and help you and all that good stuff. I thought it was very difficult to complete those weekly bounties. I would have, the solution for me to make it a much better season would be to just have added the new destinations, but kept the ability to still do the activities on the moon, for example, or the EDZ or whatever, instead of vacating what was last week's. So the progression for me was hindered, and I think that affected you really adversely, because you had 1 week where you were really busy and couldn't play, and all of a sudden you did a little bit on the weekend, and then all the work you did on the weekend, Tuesday reset comes around, and then you're like, I can't cash in on that. I have to wait another couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, well, they're and this is something that you've kind of touched on, where they are working on this balance between letting people decide how they want to play the game, which for us, we kind of struggle with that because there's so much to do.
Right.
If you're not just like constantly keeping on track of it. And on the other hand, kind of like telling people what to do, having it be like a slightly more narrow path, especially at the beginning of the season, where they're trying to concentrate the players, because, could you imagine if everybody was spread out across all 3 locations as you were first trying to figure out how to do the event? That would have been nuts, because you wouldn't have been running into blueberries as much.
Well, and
so I can understand.
That's true. Yeah, it always comes back to player population. I think a lot of people leave that out. They leave out the in discussions of balance and sort of playlists and things like that, they always leave out the fact that a lot of these development decisions, I think, are really made based on player population. You wouldn't know that looking at the Crucible playlist right now. I think there's like 20 different things you can go into, which spreads that population thin, especially for matchmaking. But I think I think that's an important piece to it. You bring up a very good point there.
I do feel like, and then, but it seems like they hit the mark a little bit better with this season in terms of the timing. And it's hard to know, am I coming from a different perspective because I have more free time on my hands, so I am playing the game more than probably. I would during the school year?
Yeah.
I definitely am putting more hours into it. But I think outside of that, it's like being able to, you just have that kind of like main quest line. I think it's called Means to an End. And that's pretty reasonable to do. It's something that you can focus on. It's pretty reasonable. And leveling up the recaster, there's just one of them. There's not three of them. And so leveling up something and leveling up the recaster gives you good loot, but it doesn't necessarily, which you then can use in the game, but it doesn't necessarily say, oh, hey, if you level this particular piece up, then you're going to have bonuses to doing, like, say, the contact event. They haven't made it so restrictive. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but
no, I definitely like the beat and the tempo of this season. And again, it could be that, what we're all about is we've been talking about the perspective of this thing, and it may be that we just have the time to sink into it, and we're rewarded accordingly. And so we might be a little jaded during the summer because we have more time. Do you guys want to take a look at the TWAB?
Yeah.
See what's going on over there? Let's take a look at the TWAB. This week at Bungie.
I don't think there's a whole lot there in terms of...
Well, you had to scroll down a lot, I think. Looking at it here, they start off with... the Ruinous Effigy exotic trace rifle trailer. We got the Ruinous Effigy yesterday, right, Sally? Was it yesterday or day before?
We got it a couple of days ago, and then we just finished. We
finished the Catalyst yesterday. So much fun. I really loved it.
It's such a fun game.
Stego, have you managed to obtain this weapon yet? The Ruinous Effigy? Are you still working on it?
Still working on it.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth the investment. It's so much fun. It's a nice
and
mechanic.
And actually, that's a good time to bring up that I was going to say earlier that there's something about this particular quest in general. Is like, oh no, I have to go into Gambit, or I don't know about the Reckoning. I've been avoiding the Reckoning since it basically came out. It felt like one of those horde modes that I just couldn't hold my own in.
Yeah.
And but we just went into level 1 Reckoning, and it wasn't that bad.
Nah, we had fun.
And you and I both got 3 pieces. Oh, you got a full set of gear.
No, I didn't. I'm still missing boots. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I got 3 pieces, of the low-level gear because I hadn't done any of this.
Yeah, and how old is this content? I mean, it goes...
I know, seriously. And so I know some people say, Bungie, stop telling us what to do. That's one perspective. But in this, it's like, sometimes it's like, does that mean I'm going to be going into Reckoning more often? Maybe. I
think it's okay to get outside of your normal... Yeah, I think it's okay for them to push you places you haven't been in a while, or you haven't really.
And I haven't been playing a ton of Gambit, but there's been a few things. There's been a couple of things that have come up in this season that have kind of directed me in Gambit, and we haven't played a regular Gambit game, but we've been doing a lot of Gambit Prime and enjoying it, and enjoying the process and just the game mode itself.
Yeah, I'd say I like Gambit Prime more than traditional Gambit.
And I think that's the timing thing, right? Just like the event we were talking about, for someone who says, okay, I've got 2 hours today to play. And then you do a regular Gambit game, that could be a half an hour. Sometimes it seems like it anyway.
Yeah.
Each round being, let's say maybe 5 minutes. That's 15 minutes plus. It's a pretty large chunk of the amount of time that you have to play. So it was a great idea to put Gambit Prime in. I feel like I should go back into a regular Gambit game when I have the time, just to see maybe I would like the cadence of that more often. But again, you have
it's longer though, isn't it? As I recall, it's been
right.
God,
and since you have the whole idea of matchmaking, I think there are a lot of people who just aren't doing it. Just like Daniel was saying, Stego was saying.
Mm-hmm. So they follow up the a little trailer teaser for the Ruinous Effigy, and then right away they advertise there's some new items in the store, and I just noticed these sort of stylish Bungie face masks, very progressive
face coverings. That's awesome. It's awesome that they were able to put something out that quickly. Yeah.
And Moments of Triumph t-shirt, and of course the raid ring. Everybody's been talking about the raid ring, right? Do you think we two other members of our clan, I'm not sure if they're tuned in or not, Death Knight and Ghost, I'm thinking those guys want this ring. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking.
You think so?
At least the opportunity to get it. I don't know how much it costs.
I'm gonna say probably like 65 pounds.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna upwards of 50 to
50
depending
quid?
on what the material it's made out of. I'm gonna say upwards of between $50 and $100.
Yeah, and
then because they have to pay an extra fee to get it shipped, right?
Yeah, they have some weird tax in the UK that's really prohibitive. That's a shame. But I think they figured a workaround for it. But it is a very stylish ring, if you ask me. It's got the skull with the sword through it, with a chain link.
I mean, we're not
it.
Those, again, kind of bringing up our.
I don't think I can see Salliebug wearing this ring, though. Honestly,
you're bringing up our profession. We definitely don't. We're not don't have a huge income. So for a lot of these,
and as a teacher, you're promoting a skull with a sword through it. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to drop that ring. You're gonna have to take that ring off.
But it would be nice to have as a collection, and then just put it almost like you would other
wear it
things
around
that you
your
have
neck.
in your
a lot
collection.
of people do that with rings. They make a little pendant out of it, right? Put it around, put a chain
make
through
it a pendant, or just have it.
Winter Emblem Dinner. They talk about the fashion show and art show, more community items. Beautiful stuff.
I actually would love to hear your take on that, Stego, because you and Romance
beautiful artwork
really do spend a lot of time making sure that your Guardian looks the part for whatever we may be doing together. So I could see you having that appreciation of a lot of that. Especially the fashion show.
Yeah.
But the art in general
well, I'm
has
looking.
been great.
There's this squared tee. They posted squared tees tweet here of images of his Lego Oryx, which is just phenomenal. Shout out to the squared T on Twitter. Shout out to this individual who has created unbelievable Lego art of the Destiny characters.
Yeah, I want to say that the stuff that Guardians are capable of in real life are just astounding.
Just as amazing as throwing a super in the game, right? A little
earlier, I was kind of dumping on the community a little bit when I was talking about the Seraph Towers event and how difficult that can be to like complete and execute, and that was also true of like escalation protocol and stuff. And so like in game, it can feel like sometimes we come together and we kind of fail to rise to the challenge. But in real life, the community of Guardians is just astounding.
Yeah, they more than make up for it, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. With the charity events
already, Neil. The charity events, unbelievable. I mean, this community is like none other that I witnessed, and I know it's the one I'm fully involved in. And there's others that I'm sure that are out there, but yeah, they astound me. The stuffed animal is incredible.
I know. Yeah,
the Riven stuffed animal.
Yeah, the Riven stuffed animal. I mean,
there's a ghost.
The passion is real.
Yeah, the creativity is
absolutely
real. It's amazing.
Just, wow, man, look at this.
So if you haven't, if you're listening to this,
made a glass ghost. Holy cow! It's unbelievable. Right. It's like the stained glass. It's labors of love.
So if you haven't gone on Bungie's website and taken a look at, I think they have not just the winners, but like the whole artists, and have them on display. So you should take a look at it, because there's, outside of the people who won, there's some phenomenal stuff out there. So take a look.
And then there's the whole Twitch Prime stuff they go over, all sorts of charity and community stuff. So there's nothing really to report except they have the known issues section, and then of course the movie of the week. Known issues. Players should only destroy Savathun's eyes using the ruinous effigy exotic trace rifle itself. Progress does not count towards the Hive God Optimus triumph in the moments of triumph if a player destroys Savathun's eyes using the orbs. Oh crap, I've been doing that. Remember I was going up and slamming some of them?
Oh no, they fixed it. I think that it's a known issue. People should destroy using the gun.
I've been going up and slamming them with the orbs. I bet you I need to go back and revisit that.
I don't think that's the case, though, for us, Neil, because we looked at our Triumph. We were looking at the Triumph tracking.
Neck. Right, we were neck and neck on it.
And I have 45 out of 50, and I know that I've slammed at least one.
Okay. But this is good for Greenstego and Romance Girl and the rest of the clan to know that it's probably safe to use the gun to shoot those eyes. Okay.
Yeah. Just
shoot it with the trace rifle.
The Lucent Blade armor mod doesn't always appear on Season 11 armor. Okay.
Okay.
I'm
not even again. So this is my casual perspective. I don't even know what that is.
Oh, okay.
So, and
that's the Season of Arrivals mod, where if you were charged with light and then you hit somebody with your sword, then you get a sword damage buff.
Right. Okay.
Oh my gosh!
So, and that's something, Neil. You're just Sooltime. You are just starting to dabble, get your toe, in the waters of Charged with Light.
Shout out to the people who encouraged me to use the Charged with Light mods, because it is fun and it is great, and I encourage everybody to explore those mods. I started out really simple with just a mod that gets me charged with light by collecting an orb, running over an orb, and then when charged with light, it increases your damage output, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Right. And, so, yeah, that's part of the game that I haven't, like, I like the idea of it, but it's almost like it's a little overwhelming, all of it.
Oh, there's some the next burger dot here. The energy converter mod won't grant super energy if a player already has over 50% of their super. This is by design. Okay. Huh. I don't use that one. I looked at it, and I haven't explored using that one.
I know I haven't used it.
The mod in question is, and I think that it also had like a little bit of a visual bug for it, because you can get it from the recaster, prismatic recaster.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And it has the symbol of a sidearm, though it do with your grenade super. What it does is when you throw your grenade, it uses up all your charges of light to recharge your super, and based on the number of charges it gives you, the most it can do puts you up to 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
It won't ever overfill you.
Yeah.
Right.
Stego,
okay,
you're cutting in and out a little bit. If it's possible, maybe you can lower your threshold slightly. That's what it sounds like. It's chopping off the ends of your words a little bit. But yeah.
Okay, so the energy converter mod, I see. So and that's actually goes along with other quote unquote nerfs that they made relatively recently, in that other exotic pieces that gave back super energy, they've maxed that out to, you can only gain about 50% of your super. Let's just say my beloved Orpheus rigs that
Sure.
I pretty much live in.
Yeah.
Because I'm a void tether hunter most of the time, and so I think if you were in a swarm of enemies and threw that tether down wearing Orpheus rigs, you could have your super back right away. And they nerfed that to only about 50%.
Right.
Relatively recently, and I kind of I was a little nervous about that, because you get so used to using a certain build. So anytime Bungie nerfs something, people are going to complain. So I was nervous, but in all honesty, I was kind of thankful for it, because it makes you play the game a little more, right? Not just quote unquote chaining supers, as they like to call it. They want you to not just play the game. I mean, it's a shooter. It's not all just space magic. There's shooting involved as well. So
yeah.
So that would go that particular design is along the same mindset. Is we will give you things that help you regain your super, but you can only get it at a up to 50%, and then the rest you just have to get the way you normally would get it. Picking up orbs of light or shooting things.
Armor ornaments. I know we all love armor ornaments here. Armor ornaments from the Eater of Worlds and Spire of Stars raids no longer appear on player collections. We are going to definitely look into Eater of Worlds and Spire of Stars, revisiting those raids, I think, as a raid team perhaps.
Well, I think just for moments of triumph, we'll run
moments
them
of
at
triumph.
least once. We
right.
have, and full disclosure, and again, this is bringing up how we are so para-casual. We are that casual team. We never got through Spire of Stars. We just,
in our defense,
we watched the videos.
I think it was connection issues at the time that because you have to time the very end when you're DPSing the boss.
Yeah, getting to that boss.
There's a timing thing, and
I would say it's a timing thing, and maybe there was lag, and there was, but I'm gonna come right out and say I think we just couldn't quite pull it together.
Maybe
but
you're saying
stronger.
We're a little too para-casual, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we're very para-casual, and we haven't finished Crown yet either. So those are
Crown.
two that are. We have now been given a challenge by Bungie to say, "Hey, give this a try if you want the moments of triumph."
Because they're going away.
So
these raids are going away.
Those raids are going away, and so you kind of want to say, "Hey, at least I completed it once." It gives you that triumph. I'm gonna. I know you're going through this list, Sooltime, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the moments of triumph and whether or not you're going to go for that seal. I mean, as a casual player, it's kind of hard to do those seals because it requires so much.
Yeah,
Stego, how many seals do you have?
I have not finished any seals. I don't have any titles.
Right.
We need to help get you one. Maybe this summer. At least get one for the summer,
just
right?
look at the one. I will do a shout out. Braytech, it happened. Braytech.org. Is it .org?
Yeah.
Is a great tracker of what you've done versus what you need to do. And you can go to any one of those seals and see how many triumphs you've done. And so you can say, oh, hey, look, I've done 8 out of 10 for this one. What are the other 2? And it may just be as much as just collecting things around certain planets or collecting lore and so forth. So some of those you just kind of have to look at what the actual requirements are. Others are, I feel, for me, out of my reach. As a casual player, absolutely out of my reach. I am never doing.
You're not shooting for the flawless seal?
I'm never doing a
never say never
solo, right? Well, never say never. It is highly unlikely.
She said she was never going to play Destiny back in 2014.
And look at her now.
Look at her now.
And look at me now.
She's carrying people flawless to the lighthouse.
It's highly unlikely that I will be doing a dungeon solo. And so that automatically gets several seals out of my, at least 2 that I know of, seals out of my reach. So, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with there being things in the game that I won't obtain. You can't make the game so easy that, pretty much anyone, like with my skill, could get everything, because that wouldn't be challenging for other players. And I think that's part of that balance that we were talking about earlier in the podcast, is needing that balance of how do we make the game feel great for your average players, but also give that challenging content for those players who love the game just as much and play it all the time and play it as a career, for those that play it as a career as well.
The next item on the known issues is some players can't progress the means to an end quest. While we continue our investigation, players can progress this quest by using an alternate character or joining another player who has already started the mission. Oh, okay. I have not had that problem. Of course,
We
I'm
have
only
not
doing
had
those on
that
one
problem.
character, so yeah.
I mean, and part of that, I mean, the fortunate thing is that you and I are almost always doing this together.
Sure. Yeah, we're on the same page.
Storyline progression types of quests and missions we tend to do together.
Right.
And so not always, but most of the time. And so maybe as a solo player, I could see that being a little more difficult.
Yeah.
And I could see how that could be extremely frustrating if you don't have any friends who play the game and you can't progress.
Yeah.
So I can see it. And what if you're so casual that one, you're a solo player who doesn't play with anyone else, and two, only have the time to have one character, right? Then getting on another character, like that might mean there's a bunch of content you would have to do even to get to that means to an end part. So that,
but honestly, I think this bug is not nearly as bad as some others. At least there's some sort of workaround for it.
I mean, the nice thing about it is that
not being able to log into the game is a bug.
About this means to an end, and it's one of the things, one of the changes, and I think that was a change they made in this season, is there are more avenues for your average player to get pinnacle gear.
I love that. I do love that.
That was definitely a frustration for me from previous seasons. Is
no longer a frustration this season.
I mean, we're not doing the higher level nightfalls most of the time. And we weren't, I don't think we even tried the master nightmare hunts until a couple of weeks ago.
Greenstego, have you been doing the means to an end quest?
Yes.
You have.
I love the quest that ends with a little bit of story time with Eris Morn.
Just a little bit, and it's being revealed week by week, right? I love that stuff.
I love Eris Morn. She is an incredible character.
Fascinating.
Kind of, especially for Sooltime, you and I, kind of like our first real delve into the storyline was with her.
Yep.
So
Dark Below, back in D1.
She kind of introduced us to the game, so she's our
guide.
She's been our guide.
Yeah, so
for a long time.
If you've been doing means to an end, maybe the next one has not affected you. Players who didn't claim the reward for completing the means to an end quest in one previous week will be locked out from acquiring and completing it the following week. Players will be able to acquire the quest again the week after the blocked week. Okay, that's a mouthful. I'm not sure.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not run into this, so I'm not really sure. But
gosh,
I can see it being disappointing for people who forgot to pick it up. Yeah,
I could see that being extremely frustrating.
Or
now,
you're away, you're on vacation, or you're away for a week.
Right. Now, this hasn't been an error code issue that we have seen crop up because we haven't seen it. But you were part of that error code. I can't remember the name of it now, but the one that you couldn't play the game.
Wouldn't even let you log in.
It was like 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh. Now that's a bug. When you can't play the game for 3 weeks because of an error code. Now that's a bug. I forget which error code it was. Because it's post-traumatic.
And there was a combination.
I'm shutting it out of my mind. It was so awful.
Yeah, there was a combination of two.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad as that one, right? It's not saying you can't play the game. It just means you can't complete this, which is part of like this general storyline, and I could see it being frustrating, especially since in order to get the Ruinous Effigy, you have to complete means to an end.
Yeah.
That's actually part of getting that gun. So I could see that being extremely frustrating, and hopefully it's not affecting that many players.
Right.
All right.
Next is players unable to launch the interference mission may be able to play through and complete it by joining someone else. Okay. We do that trick with the heroic adventures. Remember that, Sally? We'll get on an alt character, because they go away once you do them once. But if you need to do multiple of them, you can. One of us.
That's only on Mercury, actually, or some planets.
Right. So I recall it being Mercury.
The heroic story mission is there for you to choose, and you can do it as many times as you want. But for some reason, on Mercury, and this is going to be a moot point in a couple of months because it's going away, but for some reason on Mercury, once you've done the heroic story missions, and there's 3 of them, you can't do them anymore. And so if you have a particular bounty or a quest line, and I think we came across this because Mercury was a flashpoint, so that's where the heroic adventures were, and you needed to get umbral traces as part of means to an end in these heroic adventures.
Right.
And it's we don't have enough of them, but there's no more heroic adventures. So we figured out a workaround
which was just one of us hopping on an alt character, going down, starting it,
and then just getting back on our regular.
And then once you're in the activity, you go back to your main. No, that's always a workaround for things like that. Yeah,
it was cheeky, but it was a workaround, and that's a benefit. I guess that's a way of us saying, hey, even if you're a casual player, it doesn't hurt to just have at least one other alt character lurking in the background, doing the basic stuff every now and again. It's not that I was very tentative to do anything with my alt characters, because it's just it's not something I can maintain in terms of being able to manage all 3 characters. But to just have one that's up on the storyline enough to do something like this, it's been beneficial. So I recommend it. You don't have to have that character fully developed in any way, shape, or form, or collect all the armor pieces or any of that. And once you get to the base light level, you can just put on your strongest guns, and that bumps the light level high enough. The other trick that I use with my alt characters is if you happen to have I don't even know if you had to have purchased the season pass, but if you've gotten far enough along in your season pass, you can just acquire armor for that character, and that boosts your light level up enough to do most activities. So that's another little.
That's pretty much it. The last thing is they're investigating beaver error codes on Steam, which doesn't affect us because we're Xbox players. So, yeah.
Okay. We probably should have brought that up earlier on.
Paracasual Xbox players.
I think that's the first time we've actually brought that up. Is that we do not play on PC,
or Sony PlayStation. PS4.
Yeah, or PlayStation.
No. Although Salliebug, when we were talking earlier about me getting shut out of the game due to an error code a while back, that was during Season of the Worthy. By the way, they did send me 800 silver to compensate for that. So good on Bungie. I think they realized how terrible that was. I was out for 3 weeks. There were other players.
They gave you I feel like they gave you 1,000.
It was 800
because I remember us saying, "Oh, they gave you how much you paid for the season pass back."
Oh, maybe it was. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they gave me the season pass in silver.
They basically returned the season pass back to you because hey, you purchased the season pass, and then for a third of the season or more, you weren't able to play. So
there were people
that was good on
there
them
were
to
people
do
knocked
that.
out for over a month on that, and so
Right.
holy cow.
So
yeah,
I guess we do play on Xbox. We don't have in our household even one PC that could run this game, not to mention two. I work primarily off of a Chromebook, and we did try Steam when we were trying to work around.
No, not Steam. You mean Stadia.
Stadia, that's right, not Steam, but Stadia.
Yeah, we did try out Stadia, which was a disaster for us.
It was a disaster. Well,
because we don't have the right setup. You need a decent computer for it, honestly. And if you don't have a decent, like, you can do it like on a Chromebook, is my understanding, but it's got to have the right processor in order for it not to be so laggy that you can't play it. So
and of course there's the whole learning curve of, we've been playing this game
mouse and
console,
keyboard. Yeah.
And so we've been using a controller all of this time. I can't I don't know if I have it in me to try to learn mouse and keyboard at this point in the game. I do watch Twitch streamers who play on their PC, and I can tell it's a beautiful game. But
you can hook a controller up to a PC.
Yeah, you can. But we had difficulty with it
that was Stadia. That wasn't Steam.
Right, that's true. Yeah. That's true. But we don't have a PC that's strong enough to play that.
No, we do not.
I know we've kind of run over what we said we were going to, but I wanted to bring up one more question because it came up in my head. It didn't come up in the chat? No, not too much interaction in the chat, but that's okay. Thoughts on the next gen consoles, since we're console players. Stego?
Series X, PS5.
I mean, I know that for our household, probably not going to look at the PS5 as an option. I mean, first of all of our clan plays on Xbox, so until 100% crossplay is a thing, I wouldn't even consider it. But thoughts on the Series X? We don't know exactly how much it's going to be yet. They haven't told us.
Yeah, there are rumors that there's going to be a second model, that they're going to have two Xbox Series X models. One that's the high end that has already been released, and it is rumored, there is information floating around on the internet that would suggest that there is a more affordable model.
Right.
It doesn't have the drive, the disc drive.
Yeah, and that is like Microsoft through and through. How many different Xbox Ones are there? It's like a little ridiculous.
Sony does it too.
Sony does it too.
The Sony Slim.
Yeah, I think there's rumors about Sony doing the same thing, having one that doesn't have the disc drive. Yeah, and then being $50 to $75 less.
It makes sense. I mean, we hardly ever use the disc drive on our Xbox.
Right, we hardly use it as well. My only I don't want to say necessarily concern, but my only thought on that would be, I think I remember reading that the specs would also be lower, so like might not be 4K compatible, and gosh, if you're gonna go as far as getting a whole new console, for me it's just like save up for another month or two to get the higher end one.
Mm-hmm.
And get all the bells and whistles rather than but if it's all you can afford, at least they're putting something out there.
Do y'all have a television that is capable of going 4K?
Yes.
Your new TV is 4K.
It is. Yep. We finally
and those have because
entered 4K.
those have come down in price, right? Those have become affordable. They weren't like we didn't get one when they first came out, but now it's not really that difficult to get one that's affordable that's 4K compatible. So
we've been considering getting a new TV. We haven't got one in this one we got 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another
good.
Black Friday Target run, it sounds like.
Yeah. Just make sure you're armed.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting what Black Friday looks like this year, or even if it's a thing.
We'll see what
like an in-person Black Friday thing. I think a lot of people will probably go, no, I don't think so. But I think there are other people in Texas that probably is like, I don't care. I'm going to go anyway.
Cyber Monday.
No, they would say that it is their constitutional right to have a Black Friday deal.
Right. And be able to go in at midnight to get it and not wear a face covering.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good point to end.
Monday and just get it then. Plus, a lot of these retailers, like they have those Black Friday deals. They have them online already. So, and sometimes they even happen prior to the actual Black Friday. So I don't know. I guess maybe wait and see what the deals are going to be. You got to imagine they're going to, but we're not ones to usually get a console right when it comes out. We usually wait a few months just to see, are there going to be any bugs or hiccups? And the cost doesn't usually come down by the time we're ready to get it, but it is a chance it's almost like a wait and see.
Yeah. Well, the price usually takes so long to come down, and then when it does, it doesn't even come down that much.
Right. So it's not necessarily a cost thing, although sometimes it is because you need to save up for it. But a lot of it is just, hey, is it worth it? Hey, you wait for the first reviews to come out and
all the red rings of death,
playing it and seeing if there's any bugs and all that. So that's kind of typical of us to play that wait and see game. So.
Yeah, the red rings of death fiasco is definitely going to live on forever in our collective fears.
But it is so tempting to want to run out and get it right away.
Absolutely.
Knowing that it'd be, 60?
60 frames per second.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60 frames per second and 4K compatible. That's going to be all very, very tempting. So, I don't know. That may be one of those times. Depends on our financial state at the time,
situation,
I guess.
Which is uncertain at this point due to pandemic
it's uncertain
reasons.
all over the country, right? And it's not necessarily a great time for any company to be releasing higher end things.
It's not really a good time for anybody anywhere about anything pertaining to anything. It's just
except for cats. Cats get to have their owners at home.
Yeah, cats get all the and dogs, right? I think pets are the beneficiaries.
Pets have benefited from the pandemic, I think.
The pets are the beneficiaries because it's like all
they
of a
get
sudden
more company.
They get to have their companion for as much as they want them, and that's probably a good thing. They're gonna miss us when we do eventually have to actually go back.
Yeah, that's when they're gonna think the world is ending.
Right. They'll suffer later. They'll have a delayed suffer.
Oh, man.
Well,
this has been an amazing first run, I would say. Hopefully other people enjoyed our banter as much as we enjoyed actually.
We'll upload it. We'll let it digest. We'll come up with some ideas for recurring segments.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
Absolutely. Maybe get some other of our small group to make guest appearance.
Yeah,
nice.
I think it might be a little easier if there's a little bit more of a predictability. Like, oh, we want you to come on for this segment. We want you to be a guest on this segment.
Right.
And
we're going to be talking about this, and we would love your input type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And we probably will. This was really just an introduction. We probably will have a more focused topic. Some weeks it may just be going over this week at Bungie and talking about how our weeks are.
Yeah.
You know,
who knows?
How we progress in the game, and it might be a little bit shorter podcast, and other times it may be we have this is a hot topic that a lot of people are talking about, and we want to give the casual gamer perspective on this hot topic that's going on. Skill-based matchmaking has to be one of those relatively soon. that affected the casual player a lot more than it did, it impacted everybody, but yeah, it
casual players
impacted
are
everybody.
Feeling the burn.
But whether it was a negative or a positive effect.
Yeah, this morning I watched a streamer do a review of Vigilance Wing, and he just casually went into a Crucible game and got a 25.0 KD.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
It's been happening.
I think that's
been my experience.
And the fact that trials, I think we should delve into moments of triumph and what are on, what's on there, and because I think we will be able to discuss more of those topics.
Yeah, I think we'll give it a shot when Solstice is around, because Solstice of Heroes will also have a trials benchmark. Full
disclosure, and of course it's probably at this point in the game, knowing how casual we are and that we're more PvE focused, full disclosure is we have not even attempted a trials match. I haven't. Stego, have you?
I've attempted one match. I don't think that it was even like a ticket that we even like reset. I think maybe it was a couple matches. It was just a lot of getting killed over and over again. Right.
And with that being said, I'm going to say I don't know necessarily, but if you went on Destiny Tracker, what would your KD be?
Probably close to 1. I think probably a little
1? Right
around 1.
I checked mine recently. What's yours?
Mine has been
Salliebug?
Basically 0.6, somewhere between 0.6
I think I'm
and
like
0.7.
0.7
since I started the game, and there are games that I do better than that, and there are games that I do much worse, so it just hovers in that 0.6 range, and I'm okay with that. This is like one of those situations where we could like really delve down that rabbit hole of PvP, and so I think maybe I will put a pin in it, and we will talk about it maybe the next time we come around.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sound good? But this has been great. So happy to have Stego come along with us.
Happy to join.
Thank you very much. And you've been listening to the Paracasual Destiny Podcast, and thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you in the future.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.